So today we're actually going to go ahead and talk about the Breakfast Club interview with Dank Demoss. Okay. I'm not going to show any videos on here. I'm going to show images, but not videos, only because, they got the whole little copyright thing and I'm not about it. So, before I even get into exactly what they were talking about, because I'm going to go through the whole thing that they were talking about, I will say I enjoyed the interview. I like the Breakfast Club anyways, okay? So that's a given. But I also enjoyed just the overall energy that everyone was exerting. I also enjoyed that, they could hee hee ha ha laugh about it, but also have serious points in time as well. So all of that was huge for me. So now let's get into what they were actually talking about. Okay. So at first, so you got DJ Envy, you had Just Hilarious, you have Charlemagne. There was her doctor that was on there. We're gonna get into that later. And then there was another lady who was filling in for Just because she had a baby and everything like that. And I did like. I haven't been watching them for a while though, just because I've been busy. But I did like that they had just like via via like Zoom and stuff like that. So I thought that was nice. I thought that was a good addition as well. But let's go and look at some of this stuff. Okay. So right when the interview started, the interview was about 38 minutes long, if I'm not mistaken. And when we when we start this interview, first things first is Dank Demoss goes and sits down in the chair, just like everybody else is sitting down in the chair, right? And then she goes and says, do y'all have something bigger? Is this all y'all got? Which is in regards to the seat, right? So then they go and they're like, oh, well, let's go and get the couch. So they have like these two couches, which are identical, but they're right next to each other. They were not that heavy. So they moved the chair and then give her a couch, which I don't think would help that Lyft lawsuit just because. And then she said, you see, you guys are accommodating. And then, Charlemagne, he starts talking about that. All right, later on. But that's my first thing with that. I'm like, so the chair, you understood that you were not going to be comfortable in this chair. Would we also not say, or would we also say that you were not going to be comfortable in that seat in that driver's vehicle? Okay, we're going to get into all of this, all right? Then she starts talking about the F word. And Charlemagne, he's like, the F word? Like, I mean, I don't want to say it. And then you had Envy that said no fat. So apparently now she can't say fat. I guess that's a slur nowadays. I don't know. I've never heard of it, but apparently it's a slur now. So she said we ain't doing that. Then Dank, she ends up going into talking about how essentially overweight people, our society says that they're not supposed to be outside, like they're just supposed to be cooped up in the house all day, crying and sollowing. I guess that's what they think. I guess that's what overweight people think society thinks about them. And this is in relation to, getting stares every time you leave the house, or you getting like, kind of different looks, negative looks in her opinion when you leave the house, and she does not like that and all that kind of stuff. But Jess was over here like, what do you mean? Like, who said that y'all can't be outside? She's like, well, it's society that says that we can't be outside, but we outside. And then you find out, I didn't know, but you find out that Dank was actually in 2017 doing a naked photo shoot. And, her main thing is about body positivity, love the body that you're in. Doesn't matter what kind of weight you are. We're not promoting obesity or anything like that, but I want you to love the weight in the body, the skin that you are in, which is honorable. One thing that gets me though is with the whole thing about accommodation. When that whole thing came up, she was over here saying, well, you guys accommodate the alphabets, you accommodate them, but you don't accommodate someone who is overweight. And I'm just like, huh? The Charlemagne even said, well, the thing about it is that people would say in regards to that is just the simple fact of being gay. That's not a choice. You're born that way. Okay. Meanwhile, being overweight, unless you got some serious health issues, that's really a choice whether to pick up the burger and fries, or he didn't say that, I'm saying it, but whether to pick up the burger and fries or to go and pick up a salad that you could go and make. And yes, y'all, don't be going out and buying all these salads, okay? I have to tell my sister this. Do not be going out and buying all these salads, because you could just go and make it for way less money. I know people may say like, oh, but you got all the ingredients. Yeah, but that stuff lasts for a long time. Not a long time, but it lasts for a while, okay? One salad that you buy $13, you could have spent $20 and you could get 10 salads out of it. Okay? So that's just my thing. You could get the thing of lettuce, that spring lettuce. Don't be messing around with that romaine stuff, okay? You get that little spring lettuce where it got spinach and all this other stuff in there as well. And get your tomatoes if that's what you want. Cheese, some croutons. You could be about $20 or so, okay? If you just get like one of each now, okay? And I will hope you already got some of these ingredients in your crib, anyways, so you ain't gotta spend all that money, and you could easily, or we could go and push it up to 25, but you can make like 10 salads out of it, as opposed to paying like $13, $10 for one, but that's a whole nother thing. So to me, it's a difference between burger and fry or a salad, or like what I've been doing recently, like these past 3 weeks now. In the morning, I didn't do it this morning because all I had was my mushroom coffee and my tea. But like in the morning, what I typically do is I'll have some cucumbers. I'll get like half a cucumber, shave off some of the skin, and I'll cut up into slices. Put a little bit of salt on there. Y'all, I used to not be a cucumber person. Not like that, but put a little bit of salt in there, forget it. Okay. Cut up my oranges, I got a dragon fruit up in there. If you want to have some of that, some grapes, some strawberries, and have that. And surprisingly, you do get quite a bit of energy from that, as opposed to having a toaster strudel. You know what I mean? So there's a difference in regards to that. But let's move along. So she ended up then talking about like with planes and gyms, how they could be difficult for overweight people, people, right? And she mentioned, which I didn't know was a thing, but she said like with Southwest, for example, that if you need 2 seats, they will accommodate you by giving you that second seat, and you don't have to necessarily pay for it. Okay. So like most airlines, they will say, well, you got to buy 2 seats. And she said that and I don't know, this is what she said. She said that with Southwest, that if you do buy 2 seats, they'll refund you for the other seat. That's what she said in this video. Okay. Which I thought was interesting. If you don't know about it, if you're not a part of that community, there's certain things that you just won't know. Okay. But she said that she didn't have any issues with that, and she liked that because they were accommodating to her. She then mentions that though she is 500, not now, but was 598 pounds, that she does not relate to those people on my 600-pound life, because she got energy, she could move, she could do all this. This is what I'll say, because I used to, back in the day, I used to watch my 600-pound life they had a chokehold on me, okay? I used to watch them very often, okay? And the thing about it is, there was a variety. It depends on who you are. And something that I did notice was the people who were, first off, not everyone on my 600-pound life was 600 pounds. Okay. So you had people who were 400 and up, 600 and up, 500 pounds. So it's just a variety. They just say 600 pounds, but not everyone was 600 pounds. Okay. Some people were 589, 598. You know what I mean? So I remember there was this one episode with this black dude. He said that back in the day, I think it was football he was doing. Football, basketball. I think it was football that he used to do when he was a child. He said that he was constantly moving. And then now he's, 500 pounds, whatever the case may be. But he was able to move. He was mobile. When I say able to move, I'm not talking about go to the bathroom, and he was able to go to the grocery store and move. You know what I mean? It was that kind of movement that he was doing, mobility rather. Meanwhile, you had some other people who weighed less than him, and they were bedridden. So a lot of it depend on, just overall your genetics and how much activity you used to do when you were younger. Okay. So that's one thing that I thought was interesting. So, she's going and saying, well, I'm not like that. I'm not like those people in my 600-pound life. I think you are like those people in my Children's Pound life. Just because, like I said, not everyone was bedridden. Like some people can go to the grocery store, can go walk down the street to get the mail, from the mailbox. We got one of those CBUs. And then come back. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that. So I was kind of like, when she said that, I was like, I don't know. And I'm gonna say, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm gonna say throughout this video, some of this I was like, you know what I mean? Like, that's cap. We just talking. Okay. That's what it seemed like, we talking. All right. So, but okay. That's what she went and said. Then she was like, well, I'm not like that. She said, like, people be like, oh, dang, you don't eat. And then Charlemagne said, you don't eat. She said, well, and of course I eat. He looked like, come on now. We ain't about to be sitting up here lying now. Okay. Because this is stuff that she was saying where I was like, okay, girl. Okay. Then it was another part that was hilarious, because just hilarious. She when Charlemagne was like, how much were he said, how much did you weigh as a baby? She said, well, I don't know. And then when she was over here saying, Dank was like, yeah, when I was smaller. And then she said something else. And then Jess was like, you mean when you were younger? Because you've been telling us that you've been big your whole life. So what we talking about here? You know what I mean? But anyways, she also mentioned that she lost 80 pounds. We're going to get into that. But she also mentioned how she has lost 80 pounds. So, congrats to her for that. And she said that she actually has a gym in her house, So I was like, oh, okay. She said when she was 598, she was still going to the gym. She said everything was looking good. She said, but the only issue was I just didn't like having to push myself to get up. That's when, I guess that was her moment when she was like, okay, I got to do a little something different, because she's 29 years old. Okay. So she's like, I shouldn't have to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. That's what it seemed like to me, is what she was referring to. And then she was saying that she was also having breathing difficulties. And then that's when she was like, okay, I gotta do something about this. So I get that, but she was saying that when she would go to the hospital and whatnot, that apparently everything was looking good minus the thyroid, like no high cholesterol, no cardiovascular issues, nothing, no diabetes, nothing. Okay, so it seemed like everything's fine except for just the thyroid issues. Okay, then you have Envy, who went and asked, like, okay, so what have you been doing to drop the pounds? One thing I noticed, that was never really elaborated on. It was kind of like, okay, what did you do? And it's like, well, I do things. And it's like, it was never like every morning I'm getting up, I'm having for breakfast an egg, two sausages, two sausage links. Jimmy Dean, y'all. Oh my goodness. I like rediscovered the sausage links for Jimmy Dean. Like the ones you got to cook that are raw. Forget it. Okay. Anyways, that's off topic. But anyways, and the eggs at 8:18. I said, dang, are y'all kidding me? So I was like, well, I got some leftover Chinese rice. I could put an egg in it. I said, oh no, I'm not putting no egg in it. I'm gonna let those eggs in there that I paid like $3.10 or $3.24. But I'm gonna let those marinate a little longer. But anyways, so getting back to it. Envy was like, okay, so what are you doing to, kind of like drop the weight or whatever? So she said that she's very active. She says just the whole getting out of breath thing. So then you had Charlemagne, who said, okay, you're very active. You're rarely out of breath. But then he was like, didn't you fall off stage though? And she said that was 2017. That was resurfaced clip. Okay. Because I did a video on that and I was like, And then she said, well, that was 2017 though. Yeah, but you were still big. That could still be used in the Lyft lawsuit. Okay. But all right. So then she starts mentioning, and this is where I was like, okay, so we talking. All right. We just talking to talk at this point. Because I said, no way. We're just talking. We're just, all right. Because she said, and put a picture up on the screen. She said her family could fit into a PT Cruiser. Okay. She said that she had two brothers that are both itty bitty skinny. Her mother, which was slightly big, she never mentioned weight wise, like how big. She just said slightly big. She said her dad was big. And then she said she's always been big. That's five people. And she said everyone fit comfortably, everyone was good. Well, she didn't say comfortably, but she said everyone was good. We fit in that vehicle. So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So we then got into the whole Dr. Stormy Anderson. Okay, so this is Dank, is this black lady on there, short black hair, and this is Dank's doctor. So she's like, well, one, Dank has a thyroid issue. She said it makes it very difficult for her to lose weight, but she said she lost 80 pounds in 3 months. All right. She said that she's on a medical, doing medical weight loss on something that is similar. It was something to start with an S. One of these, pharmaceutical drug dealing drugs. Where she said it's kind of like Ozempic, but it has less side effects than Ozempic, but it's, to help her lose the weight and whatnot. So then Jess was like, well, does she need to have surgery? Because, or I mean, is it necessary? Is it not necessary? Essentially, she doesn't necessarily need it, but if she wants to, she's able to do it, but she has to drop the pounds to a certain amount. So the doctor, Miss Dr. Stormy Anderson, then gave some recommendations. She was saying that one, people need to increase their water intake, decrease sugar and carbs, because carbs then turn to sugar and all that kind of stuff. But also it's a mental thing as well. Okay. People need to be mentally motivated, not just saying like, okay, I need to lose some weight, but actually like really getting in there, like I need to lose weight, I need to do this needs to be something that you're thinking about every single day. Okay, so that's one of the things I thought about. Then she ended up mentioning how the whole Lyft situation made her depressed, and this is something that can revert someone's success and make them want to eat, because of that and all that kind of stuff. I just hope, I know she said mental stuff, I hope that she's also like recommending her to like a psychologist or something like that, psychiatrist, rather, so that people, she can understand her emotions and understand why she's been like this her entire life. Okay. And then one thing that Envy actually asked was like, okay, is this something that's covered by insurance? I mean, out of pocket. Apparently, a lot of it, most of it is out of pocket. So that's one thing that also can deter people from even wanting to do that. So then we get to a point where Jess actually says, has a car ever pulled up and you looked at and was like, my big A is not getting up in this, it cannot fit? And Dank said, no, I could fit into any car, every car I've ever been in, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so sure. Okay. And then Dank ends up saying every time she goes to the gym, she feels skinny. She's like, yeah, I just feel skinny every time I go to the gym. I mean, it's like nothing to me. I go in there and I just feel just his face, like her facial expression. She's just like, all right, girl. Yeah, sure. All right. Then we start getting into Dank having an OnlyFans, okay? And she said that she's been having it for a while or whatever. She was like, well, you just need to go, go over there and check me out and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, girl. So then we got Charlemagne, who then asks, like, where do you shop? We're transitioning back into the clothes that we kind of talked about earlier, just a little sprinkle. But now we're like transitioning back into that, in terms of like, do you get upset when clothing stores don't have your size? Okay. As opposed to, kind of relating it to the Lyft situation. So then he was like, well, where do you shop? And then she just said she's skinny. She shop where we shop. I'm like, cut her mic off. So, she was saying like how she goes to Rainbow and essentially she gets a sewing machine and, she alters her clothes and, she's just fine with that. Okay. So then we go back to the whole Lyft situation. All right. And her whole thing is that fat people should not have to pay for an XL because everything should be accommodating. All right. And she's saying how the app needs to be held accountable. She ain't even worried about John Doe, whoever the driver was, is who she's referring to. She's not even really worrying about John Doe like that. She just wants the app to be accountable and all that kind of stuff. Right. So she's currently weighing what she says 489. Okay. That's what she says. She says that she could fit into any car still or whatever. And then she said, I could go in there. I could just hop up in there and then just say, you ain't gonna hop nowhere. I'm like, dang, no, chill, no, chill. Then Charlamagne talks about the whole term big backs and all that kind of stuff. And like, hey, does that bother you? I mean, does that bother you at all when people say that? She's like, no. She's like, yeah, some of the fat jokes are, she doesn't say fat, but she was like, some of the big jokes are funny, yada, yada, yada. But she didn't want to go into any of them because she probably didn't want other people to be like, okay, well, she gave the green light for me to go and say this. So I can understand why she didn't over do that. But here's the thing. She then says that she did not report the Lyft driver. She just put the video out and then Lyft just fired him. So, okay. So then Charlamagne pulls up the whole lawsuit thing and then mentions essentially how, it's because of stress, economic and non-economic damages. And then he said, well, what's non-economic damage? And then he looked at her and she just I don't know. She didn't say, I don't know. She just had a blank look. And then someone said, oh, those must be legal terms. Okay. And he's like, okay. Because she didn't even know. I'm like, y'all just. But when he was reading the lawsuit, it said that John Doe and Lyft are being sued, but she just said that only Lyft is being sued. So how is you? So it don't make any sense because you just said that I'm not suing John Doe, but in the lawsuit it says you're suing John Doe. And then the female co-host, she went and not just the other one, she went and was like, I thought you said you weren't doing. I thought you weren't suing him. And then Dank was just kind of like, I'm like, okay, girl, all right. Sure. We're nearing the end of the interview, and then Dank ends up mentioning how she's not advertising for people to be big and just eat, 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 eat. Okay, like she's like, I just want you to be comfortable in your own skin and love who you are, and yada yada yada. My main thing with that is when you tell people that you should just continue to be comfortable in your own skin. I get it, love who you are, but when they're that big, it's like Dr. Now, you're on my 600-pound life. Oh, well, just lose the weight whenever you feel like losing the weight. Just as long as you're comfortable in your own skin. Everyone knows Dr. Now gives tough love. Okay, he's no foolishness. He's not playing any games. Because he's like, at the end of the day, this is your life. We know that, and there has been people on my 600-pound life, for example, who have actually died, like even as they were losing the weight because the heart couldn't take it any longer. So the lungs couldn't take it any longer. You know what I mean? So he's like, I'm not about to sit up here, oh, we'll just be happy in the skin that you're in. So to do that, that's like opposite of what he's doing. You know what I mean? He's actually trying to help. When you tell someone, yeah, you're 500 pounds, it's okay, girl. Yeah, love it. Yeah, girl. Lose weight whenever you feel like losing weight. Well, your time is ticking. You know what I mean? But so then we end up ending the video with her freestyling. She does like 2 verses and then she freezes. She's like, oh, well, what was she said, well, y'all know. Ain't you a rapper? How you freezing on your own song? So that was essentially what that was. And I had my little notepad. But that was essentially what that whole thing was. I just. Chat. Overall, I do like how the whole cast was very understanding of her. We're gonna crack some jokes here and there, but we're also going to, just overall talk to you, not be like, yeah, you're fat, let's all talk about fat people. And we're gonna talk about the lawsuit. We're gonna talk. I mean, shoot, that's why you here. What you think you were here for? We're gonna talk, okay? So I appreciate how they were all understanding in that regard. I like that they unintentionally were, showing like, okay, this is some BS, okay? Because you said that you could fit in that car, yet you get a chair that normal sized people could fit in, you know what I mean? And then you need a whole couch to feel comfortable. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay. And the fact that they left that in there was like, yeah, this is some mess. Then you're saying, oh, I could fit into a PT Cruiser. I could fit into your Prius. And Charlamagne's like, no, you can't. Like some of this, I was like, okay, some of this is cap. Right? Some of this, you just talking. Because I'm like, okay, let's keep it real. All right. Because I've seen videos and I think I put one up in one of the last videos that I did. I'm not mistaken. But seen a video where she's in her car or a car that appears to be her. She's in the driving seat. And it looked like, and it's not to be me, but it looked like Rasputia up in Norbit, where she's like, Norbit, you keep adjusting my seat, right? Norbit's one of my favorite movies, by the way. But you know, she's like, every time I move, go like, huh? And then the boob is like hitting the horn. He's like, I didn't adjust your seat. Yeah, you did. You know, and then she's like, oh, oh, how you doing? You know. So I look at all that. That's what I'm thinking about because her boobs was right on the steering wheel. Steering wheel is right here. Her stuff, y'all. Her stuff was like right there. You see, it's like no gap. I'm like, come on now. Okay, come on. All right, so sure, you know, I just don't see this lawsuit really hitting how she thinks it's going to hit. And then the fact that you said, oh, well, I'm not suing the driver, I'm suing the app. But then Charlemagne read the article that said that John Doe is included in the lawsuit. Not as like a witness or whatever, obviously. But it's more as like you're suing. So I'm like, what's even going on? Let's keep it real. No one was even worried about you. No one even knew who you were. Okay. You're just, I don't want to say a phenomenon, but you're just like a spectacle in that way because you are overweight. And I'm listening to the music that you're rapping. I'm not gonna say I'm not a rap person. I like some rap. I just don't like my coochie, my coochie, my coochie. And we keep talking about this. And that's also another thing. You can't say the F word, but you can say coochie, the P word for coochie. Okay. That's what we say. We can say all that all day and all night. But that's where but you saying coochie. Okay. Okay, girl. But you know, hopefully the lawsuit goes in her favor, for her, you know, because this is what she wants to have happen. Um, I'm on team Lyft driver. I think the driver needs to go and sue Lyft. Oh, and that was also another thing I didn't mention. DJ Envy, he went and said, okay, so how would you feel if like Lyft required passengers to, you know, put in your weight? You know, if it's just one person, if they required you to put in your weight. She's like, well, I wouldn't mind doing that. He said, so how would you also feel if you kept getting declined because of it? You know, because now I'm not doing it right here. I'd be like, okay, decline. I don't want that person in my car. And a whole bunch of people do it. Because they're saying like weight is being overweight is equivalent to you being of a certain race or you having a certain religious practice, which is like, okay, religion is something you can choose, but that's not a detriment to your health or an inconvenience to other people in that regard. You know what I mean? So, but go ahead, girl. You do you, boo.